Testing 1, 2, and we're live! We are live. This is RockSim Live, where we're talking about the RockSim software that you can use to design awesome model rockets. It is 2 p.m. on Mountain Time, and I've got my chat going. So we have Trevor Glasgow in San Diego, and we have someone, Divyanish. He is also here. I got my sound on my computer. I got my chat going over here, and I got the monitor here so I can see what you're seeing. And I got my monitor here that I'll be switching to shortly that has the RockSim software on it. So this is for you. So if you have questions about using RockSim, go ahead and start putting them into the chat right now here on YouTube, and I will try to get to them really quick. That's what this is for you. We have Terry Wheelock here. He says he built a Wucket. Cool, Terry. Let's see. Let's turn to my desktop. Let's see. I think the sound is working because nobody is saying that it's not, which is good. This is the Apogee website, ApogeeRockets.com. This is where you'll find RockSim, and we have this scrolling banner bar here, and it has a RockSim on there. If you click on that, it will take you to a page that you can download a free trial, learn a little bit more about it, upgrade if you have an older version. We're doing RockSim Live, so if you scroll down on our page, this is the free RockSim training every week. Every Friday we are here. And if you click on this, it takes you to our archive page. And on this archive page, you'll see what we've talked about in previous episodes. We are on episode number 131 today, and today is July 28th, 2023. Last week we talked about the new rocket kit called the Timer Test Vehicle, and it's got an error message right here, or a misspelling. We need to fix that. And we also simulated rocket with 2 side-by-side tubes. So if you're interested in those topics, you can click on the YouTube link and then just go to the time right here, the marker right there, and it'll take you right to that time stamp, and then you can watch it. If you're on the Apogee website, you can always go to How-To and Guides, come down here to Software, and you click on the software, and this will give you our menu of options for the RockSim software. That free trial, you can purchase it, find out what is RockSim, the frequently asked questions, system requirements, which is very important. We can run on Windows 11, that's just fine, or the Mac, the latest version. There's also the version history of the things that we've changed in the past. There's also, those RockSim Live training, which we talked about earlier. That takes you back to that archive page. And there's some more official videos here, the video tutorials, that will take you into RockSim. So I'm over here in the chat, and we have Trevor saying, I'm launching my first E-Class powered rocket tomorrow, and he gives the praying hands, hoping that it's going to work. I'm sure it's going to work, Terry. Trevor, you're probably launching, are you launching with the Dart Club there in San Diego? I was there one time, and I really enjoyed that club out there. They're out there on the little island in the bay, and that's a really cool place to launch. You got to be very careful you don't land in the water, or you're going to get a wet rocket. So we have no questions yet. I got 2 computers here. It's hard to navigate. I got to use 2 hands. Let me take a sip of water. I didn't get any questions via email before this live stream started, so I'm waiting for your questions. 3D printer guy says, I got my level 2 now in the UK. Cool. That's another celebration celebrate. Getting a level 2 is always a good achievement. It's harder than a level 1. Definitely, that's why they call it level 2. You know, and then you have to take your safety test as well as doing the launch. So congratulations, 3D printer guy. So let's see what we can do with RockSim. Nobody's got any questions, so man, oh man, I don't know what to start with. So this is the RockSim screen if you're just starting. Here's where you can start a new design if there was one already showing here. Right now there's nothing showing, so you get this no rocket defined. If you want to open a design, you can click on this button right there, and it will take you into the design folders, which is in your programs folder, RockSim 10, designs, Apogee components. If you're in the designs folder, you'll see that there's other manufacturers as well. This is not every rocket in the world, but it is a lot of rockets that have been submitted to us, and we put them out as a courtesy. And we also sell many of the rockets that are in here as well. But in the Apogee folder is all the ones that Apogee sells, and let's do, what are we going to do? Nobody's got a question. I need a question to answer. Go ahead, fire away. I'm going to open up a NEMSAR rocket here, and this, I'll show you what it looks like. So this is a 3D image of the NEMSAR, and it is, RockSim does allow you to design in 3D. If we look into the back end of the rocket, we see these blue dots, these little spheres. Those are actually objects inside the rocket that don't have a defined shape. Might be like an engine hook, or electronics, or a parachute that doesn't have a defined shape, or a streamer. So we just use those to define that mass that's inside the rocket. Terry says, design a TIA rocket, them circular shaped ones. I don't know what a circular shaped rocket looks like. I can only guess. I can do a circular fin. So say you want to do a circular fin. Here on this rocket we have a trapezoidal shaped fin, and if I click on the 2D or the 3D button right here, it will give me different options of different views of the rocket. So we have a side view, a top view, a base view, and then the 3D, which is what we're looking at right now. So if I give a side view, here's our trapezoid shape, and this window here, you can zoom in with your mouse, just using the scroll wheel. You could also use the plus and the minus right up in here. And if you want to pan it, just click and drag while holding down the shift key, and that allows you to pan things around. And this allows you to really zoom in, and if it's really critical on where you're placing parts, you want to do that. Particularly if you have fins that are through the wall. I have a centering ring right here, and I can't put a through the wall fin there, so this is why I would want to zoom in and out. You can also do a right click on this screen and you can zoom original, and it will just take it right back to the original. Todd says, my son is finishing the Zephyr for his junior level 1. Cool. Another level 1 person. The Zephyr, we sell a lot of Zephyr kits for level 1. It's a great kit. A lot of people certify on it on the first try. It's big, it doesn't go high, it's robust, it's heavy, it's durable, it's built like a tank, and it flies great. That's why so many people use it. So Todd, I wish you the best and your son on your level 1 certification. That's going to be great. Okay, so if you want to change a fin, you find the fin, and you can click on it here and it will highlight it. But then you have to go to the Rocket Design Components tab, and if you click on that, you'll see that the fin is highlighted because we clicked on it. So if I click on any component, it'll highlight it in the parts tree. And that's an easy way to find the parts instead of scrolling down, particularly if things all have the same name, because a lot of people will say body tube, body tube, body tube, and say, which body tube? Is it this one? Oh, if you click on it, it will tell you. But we're looking at the fins, so if I click on the fins, it highlights them, and then I can double click here and it opens up the fin editor screen. And from here I can change the shape. So right now my shape is trapezoidal, and if I change it to elliptical, you'll see that it changes it to an elliptical. And if I want it to be circular, then the root chord length, which is this length right here, has to be equal to the semi-span length. So if these two numbers are equal, it will be a half of a circle. So if I change this to 2.83 and hit tab, well, that's not right. It's got to be half of that. So half of 2.83 is 1.415. There we go. So that is a half of a circle. And if I want to make it, I can switch it to 4 fins quickly, and there's the other half of the circle. And so there is how you make a circular fin. There's another way you could do it too, and that's using what's called a custom fin. And custom fin means, see, in this particular fin set, I'm limited to elliptical or trapezoidal. But if you want something of your own shape, you can use a custom fin. So I'm going to cancel out of this, and I'm going to delete the fin set. Say, really delete? Yes. And then I'm going to add it back. And so I need to pick a tube where I'm going to add the fins to. So I'll highlight the tube, and then I can come up here and go to custom fins. And it opens up the custom fin screen, but it always looks in the database screen first. So I could choose a fin from the database, but if I want to draw my own, I'll hit cancel. So that's what I'll do. You can see my fin right here. And at this point we can draw the fin if we go to the Plan Points tab. And you can see that right here we have a fin, and it's made out of 4 points. But if I click and drag these points, you can see I'm changing the shape of that fin. I can make it anything I wanted. So I just added a point there, so that was undo last. I have to click and drag. And so if I want to take this point here and round it off, what I would have to do is put a series of points to round it off. But there's a quick way to do that, and that to round off your fin, you highlight the point, and then you come over here to this button, and this is chamfer. So this is kind of like, I'm going to round it off, and so you click on that, and it asks you how many number of points, so how many dots are we going to put, and then what is the circular radius of that point. And if I hit, I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Instead of 0.25, let's make it 0.5 and hit OK. And you can see it drew, it rounded it off. And then if I come over here, you can see, better what it's going to look like on your rocket. And if I want to see it in 3D, I click here to 3D, and there you go. That's what that fin's going to look like. Nice and round. So you can do any shape you want. So, very cool, very cool. Michael Peterson, he says, because I'm not yet 18, I still have a couple of years. Micah says, I didn't know there is a junior level 1 certification. And he says, what is it? So junior level 1 is, you can either do a NAR or Tripoli, and the age difference is different. But I think the NAR, let me look it up. It's either 16 or 14 years old that you have to be. So let's go to nar.org. Come on, NAR website, open up. There we go. So you go here, and we're looking for high power rocketry, high power certifications. Click on that. Okay, so junior HPR participation program. So you're not technically certified, but you are a participant, and you can be between the ages of 14 and 17, or just under 18, because once you're under 18, then it automatically converts into a certification. So yes, so the age for the NAR is 14 years old. And Tripoli has something similar. So if you're interested in that, go to the tripoli.org website, and it will show you what you can do. So once you're a junior HPR participant, you do have to take a test for juniors. If you're older than 18, you don't have to take a written test, but under 18 you do. And then you will build and fly a rocket with a person that is certified. And once that happens, now you can fly rockets on your own, as long as that there is an adult or somebody that's certified with you that's older than 18. It's a really cool program. I know a lot of youth that do it, and it's awesome. Yeah, Todd Wolf, he says that, yeah, 14 to 17 years old, level 1 cert, but you need to be supervised by a level 1 for launches. Okay, Mark Sell is here from Parker, Colorado. We have Sweater Dog, Micah Peterson, as I said, Grant Burden, but no questions. This is your chance to ask questions on RockSim. So go ahead and type those questions in. So that was how you create a custom fin. See, I tried to say, I got an error here. It says the material must be specified. So if you get this error message, what that means is that you don't have a material. So we've made this fin, but RockSim wants to know what that fin is made out of. So you go to the General tab, and here's the material, and right now there is no material, so you would have to specify something. So I could make it out of balsa wood, and then if I clicked cancel, now it will let me exit. Save your changes? No. Okay, so I deleted my fins off of this rocket. Somebody was typing a question, but then you lost your question. Okay, so if we wanted to design a rocket from scratch, what am I thinking about this week? We were testing a small altimeter. It was called the Deploy Max. This little altimeter right here, it's tiny. You can see, it's not even an inch long, 0.83 inches long, 0.33 inches wide, and less than a quarter of an inch thick. I had never used this myself until this week. We've been selling it for a while, and this is probably the world's smallest deployment altimeter, which means it can fire off an igniter. And we were testing that this week. It's so small, it's kind of like I don't have a good picture of it, but it has 2 rows of 4 pins. It's also a data logging altimeter, so a lot of these pins are used to connect it to the computer, and there's a special little terminal that you plug it into. But then two of the pins on the end are used to connect your igniter to. So you have a battery that's connected to two pins, and then your igniter is connected to two pins. And we were testing that out, and it's so small that you could put that into a rocket that's like really tiny. So if I was looking for a rocket, I would go to Rocket Kits, and then I would go here to Rocket Kit, Rocket List, the sortable list. And I could sort by diameter, and that's what I wanted to do. So what's the smallest, skinniest rocket that we have, and would that altimeter fit into it? So this chart right here, I can sort by the columns. So right here, this column says diameter, so I'm going to click on it, and it's sorted it. But the first ones are, you know, gliders where the diameter varies. But this Helirock right here, 0.54 inches in diameter. This one right here, this Sandhawk, if I look at that one, this thing is little tiny. Let's see if I got a picture of how small it is. So here's me holding that rocket. And this would be a really good candidate for that little altimeter, because that little altimeter is small enough it could fit into the nose cone here. And if this rocket were to go like really high and you're afraid of losing it, and you wanted to do, you know, do like almost like a dual deployment where it goes up and it comes down fast and then deploys its recovery device at a low altitude, that altimeter would work really well in there. So if I was designing a rocket, something like that, I got a question finally. What I would do is click up here to create a new design, and it's going to ask me, do I want to save this old one that's down here in the bottom, and I'm going to say no, I don't want to save it. And then it should go away, and it crashed. Let's open that back up. Johan says, I can hear you clear, Tim, but it seems a space microphone is active instead of the clip-on mic. Let's see if I got it showing. Not that one. What microphone am I using? Nope. Clicking my microphone. I'm on my microphone cord. This happens. It's hooked into my wheel. Here's the cord. Let's see. It should be this microphone right there. When I tap it, I don't know, it should be this microphone. Anyway. Terry says, build a Thailand hoop rocket. I can't build a Thailand hoop rocket. It's not something I can do. Sweater Dog says, how do you make a thin-walled tube thicker? I have some, however I thought it was a thick-walled body tube. Okay, so that's pretty easy. Let's say, so we're going to design a rocket, so I'm going to choose a nose cone, and let me choose, let's go with a 29 millimeter nose cone. I want, let's see, here's the diameter. So my diameter is in inches, so 29 millimeters is like 1.14 for we have this one, public missiles. That's probably, yeah, see here's 1.14. So that's going to be a 29 millimeter nose cone, so you can see the nose cone right there. And I'll say OK, and then I'm going to pick a body tube. So I'm going to attach a body tube to it, and I'm going to choose a 29 millimeter tube. I'm going to choose this one. But then when I look at it, you can see that my nose cone is wider than my tube. Now they're both 29 millimeters, but this is a thin wall tube, where this nose cone requires a thick wall tube. So how do you make, what his question was, how do you make a thicker wall tube? And it's pretty easy. So you just, you're going to either change the inside diameter or the outside diameter. Since this inside diameter on this tube already matches this shoulder, I'm going to change the outside diameter. And what diameter should I make it? Well, my nose cone has a diameter of 1.2700, so that is what I would make it. So 1.2700, and hit tab. And you can see that now I've thickened up the thickness of the nose cone. If I look at it in 3D and I spin it around, let me zoom in so you can see it's thick. And if I go back to what it was, I don't know what it was before, 1.1 something. See, it's thinner. And if I make it, 0.27, and it's thicker. So that's how easy it is to thicken up a nose or a body tube. You're going to either choose the inside or outside diameter. Typically, if something already slides into that tube, like the motor, if the motor fits, or if the nose cone fits onto your tube, then I would change the outside diameter instead of the inside diameter. Okay, so Johan says, I still have a question, but you don't have my file. Would be quite a display. It's my models with boosters that separate. Yeah, that would be cool. Micah Peterson says, where is the shock cord option in RockSim? I can't find it. Okay, so we're designing this rocket here, and we need to put a shock cord into this tube. So if you look over here on the side, there is no button that says shock cord. And the reason for that is because, as I was talking about at the beginning of this, shock cords don't have a defined shape. It's just a string that could be twisted up any direction. So when it doesn't have a defined shape, we have to use a component called the mass object to account for the weight of that shock cord. So here is the button over here off to the right, called mass object. If you click on that, again, it always looks in the database, so you can cancel out of the database. And then if you come to this screen, you'll see there's a classification. Right now it's a general. If I scroll down, I can change it to shock cord. And when I do that, it will allow me to choose different shock cord materials from the database. So if I click on the materials drop down, I can choose, flat elastic, tubular nylon, Kevlar, and then I can give it a length, I can call it like 48 inches long, and then give it a location. See, in the 3D, you really can't see it. If I spin this around, if I look inside, I'm not seeing it yet because it's at the front of the tube. So if I hit it from the base of the owning part and hit 0, see, I don't know if you saw that, but now that shock cord is right here at the bottom of the tube. And if you look at the side over here in the side view, see, that's our shock cord. And then I can move that shock cord anywhere I want in the body tube. And if I go to 2D, a side view or a top view, So here's my shot cord, and I can change the location of where in the tube that I want that located. So you select the shot cord, you tell it what material, you give it a length, and then set the location, and it will calculate the mass of that shot cord and where it is inside the rocket so that it moves the center of gravity. And then I'll click OK. So that's how easy it is to do a shot cord. Now it's still left the name mass up here, and I always hate that because I don't know what that mass means, but you can change the name to anything you want. So I recommend naming it what we want it. This is a shot cord. And I'm going to throw the word mass on the end just to tell you that basically all we're interested in is the mass of that cord, because that's all RockSim needs to know. So hopefully that works. And Terry Wheelock says, yeah, it's under mass. Okay. Sweater Dog says, thank you, Tim. However, I believe you have a misunderstanding of my question. I was wondering, how would you increase the diameter of a physical rocket tube, like one that actually exists? Oh, okay. In the real world, I'm thinking, do I have a video of this? Yeah, so if you go to Apogee Rockets, I don't think I have one. Maybe I do. Go to How To and Guides. Come down here to Videos, and then come over here to All Videos, and this will give you a list of every video we've ever made in our How-To series. And we've made more videos than this, but this is in our How-To series. And if you want to search this particular page for a specific topic, you have to do a find, and you do Control F, and then you can start typing. I'll type in body tube, and it found it 48 different times on this page, and then it highlights it, and then we can scroll through it. How to repair a kinked tube, repairing a zipper. Okay, so here is the opposite of what you want. How to peel out the inside layer of a paper tube. So if it's too thick, how to make it thinner, but you want to make it thicker. So let's see. I'm scrolling through there. I'm only on number 11 of 48. Oops, I missed one. Nope, not that one. How to build a rocket from plans, filling the tube, through the wall repair, fix a gap in the transitions, attaching balsa fins, building a star lift. I am looking how to make fin slots, ultimate tube marking guide, cutting tubes, how to repair a zipper tube, make a paper nose cone, motor mounts. And we're getting close to the end here. Zipper tube, filling spirals. Okay, so I didn't find it. So I don't have a video on it. Maybe I should make a video on how to do this. It's not very common, but if you got a tube, let me switch screens here. So we got a tube here. What I would do, and in your case, probably the same. You're going to increase the thickness by wrapping paper around the outside of the tube. Now you can do it two ways. You can do just taking a strip of paper and just wrapping it. This is called a convolute wrap, so you're just going wrapped around just the outside. Or you can do a spiral wrap where you take a long strip of paper and you wrap it into a spiral, kind of like the way tubes are made. You will probably find that doing a spiral wrap is easier because it's easier to get the paper to lay down on the current tube. And again, you're going to do it on the outside. It's almost impossible to do it on the inside. What if you wanted to try it on the inside? I've never tried this, but it's worth an experiment. Is to take a strip of paper and roll it up, put glue on it, stick it inside, and then try to unroll it on the inside of the tube. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but it could work, and it would definitely make the tube stronger. But I would say do it on the outside because it's going to be a lot easier than trying to do it on the inside. I've done spiral wrapped tubes, and I know. Well, I don't think I have spiral. Let me try here. Control F, spiral. Filling the spirals. How to fill spirals. Filling spirals. We have lots of information on how to fill spirals, but then go, if it's not in our videos, go to How To and Guides and go to our newsletter, Picoflight newsletter. Again, go to all newsletters to see all 602 of them that we have, or 604 of them that we have so far. I'm going to do a Control F on this page, and I'll do spiral, and I found it 4 times. Filling spirals, mathematics of a spiral wound body tube. So issue number 304. Let me see if there's anything else. Filling spirals. How to fill spirals, filling spirals. Okay, so issue number 304, we open that up, and so here's the body tube. So this is going to be the width of your paper strip and probably the angle that you're wrapping to, and it will, so if you want that wrap to come around so it's perfect, this will tell you how to make that pattern. So this is the pattern that you want to make. It's a long parallelogram, and so yeah, those are the equations, and then I think that's the end of that article. So then basically you make that pattern, and you're not seeing my screen. So I was on the Apogee website, and so what I did went to How To and Guides. I went down here to Picoflight newsletter, came across here to all newsletters. And then do a Control F, and it brings up this screen, or this little finder window, and then you can find that word on the page, and here's issue number 304, the mathematics of spiral wound body tubes. And then when I opened it up, it gave me this PDF, which had the equations in it to make this pattern. And when we get the pattern, what you're going to do is you're going to cut that pattern out, coat the surface with glue, and then just start winding it up on your body tube. And that's how I would do it. It could be messy. Just be prepared for that. Glue is messy. So hopefully that answers Sweater Dog's question. Robert Monday says, "Hi Tim, I recently purchased your TTV. I have not started build yet, but did download the RockSim file from the website. The problem is I cannot seem to run a sim. Is it just me?" Well, let's find out. So let's close out of here. Let's scroll. See, underneath my head right here, there's this little button that says go to the top of the page. And so now we're going to search the entire website. Instead of the page, we're going to search the website. We're going to go TTV, and it opens that up, and this is what the TTV looks like. And if you want the RockSim file, scroll down, and it says RockSim file right here. You click on that, it'll jump to the bottom of the page, because we're still on that same page, but it's like way down at the bottom. It's about 2 miles from the top, which is why I like that little trick. So this is the RockSim file. So if I click on that, it had downloaded the file, and let me show it in the Finder, and there it is. I'm going to double click on it to open it up. Double click on that. Okay, so here's the RockSim file, and I'm going to slide this over, and let me bring RockSim up to the front. Let me bring that one back to the front. Let me take this file and just drag it onto RockSim. And it didn't open it. Let's try that again. Nope. It works on Mac. So where is this file located? It's on Windows, Users, Warehouse, Downloads, TTV. So I'm going to do File Open. I'm going to go to Users. I swear that was Users, right? Windows C drive, Users, Warehouse, Downloads, there it is, and come on, I know you're still there. There's got to be a folder called TTV. Where is TTV? Documents? No, not there. Downloads. This is why I don't like Windows. I want to do all TTV. I know it's there. Downloads. Can I drag this to the desktop? Copy to the desktop. So if I look on the desktop, there's my TTV. Okay, let's try it from the desktop. Okay, desktop. There it is, TTV, TTV Rocket. Open. Do you want to save that one? I say no. There it is. Okay, so here is the TTV Rocket, and he says he's having problems loading running a simulation. So let's prepare for launch. That was this button right up here, and that opens up this screen. And this is a two-stage rocket, so we have the top stage, this is the sustainer, and then this one is the booster. So the top stage is an 18 millimeter and the bottom is 24, so we're going to choose an engine. And say only show the motors that match the motor mount diameter. So let's go with an Estes, I don't know, Quest C12 8 in the upper stage. And the overhang, let's make that a half of an inch. And click OK. So it loaded the top motor. And then click on this one, choose engine. We'll say an AirTech E15, and we'll say 4-second delay. engine overhang, we'll make that 1.5 also. Hit tab, click OK. So now we have the two engines loaded. Let's go to flight events, and we have a booster, and we're going to deploy that one at let's deploy that right at stage separation, and the sustainer will deploy that one at the maximum ejection delay. Go to simulation controls, 800, starting state 36 inches, launch conditions, it's okay. Okay, so we're going to click on the button and see if it launches. Let's cross our fingers. Alright, it launched. So if I slide this screen over, I'm just peeking at this number right here. So here's that last simulation that we ran, and it worked fine. And it went to a maximum altitude of 2,200 feet in 3 feet. So here's the rocket, and we launch it. Rocket takes off. There's going to be a 4-second delay, and then it stages. That top stage didn't burn for very long, but look how high it went. And it arced over, and it's starting to come down. And then this stage right here is the booster stage falling down, and here's our upper stage falling down. So mine ran, and you saw that I did do the one that I downloaded. So is it just you? Well, let's try something else. Let's take the TTV and upload it into the launch visualizer. So the launch visualizer is at RockSim.com. So you want to go to www.rocksim.com. And this is what the launch visualizer is. And this is a simulator that uses RockSim files that you can run on the internet, in the cloud. So you can use this like at a launch site where you may not have your computer, but you do have your cell phone with you. You can log in, and you have to have a login if you want to upload designs. You can create a free account. The login allows us to set aside memory space for your specific files because they have to be saved into the cloud. So I'm going to upload a new design. So I'm going to click that upload button. I'm going to go browse, and it's going to look on my computer, and it's looking on the desktop, and I'm going to say the TTV, open that. Okay, we're going to open that file, and we can also add the textures, which are the decals, and those were in the same folder. So to add the textures, you click on, first you click add textures, and then you click this button right there, and it's looking in the same folder that we found the TTV, and I want to get all these decals. I'm going to select them and then just hit open, and it loads them all. And then what you have to do is hit the upload button here. And it says it already exists, so I must have done this already. Let's change the name. TTV number 2. Upload. It should upload it this time. Okay, your design and simulation successfully added. So when you click OK, it should draw the rocket right here. Alright, so there's my TTV rocket. And my decal is upside down. Anyway, let's run a simulation. So I'm going to go to my data. Oh, I didn't save that design. So we got to kind of start from scratch. So to run a simulation, you just run along these buttons on here on the left. Let me make sure you can, oops, just minimize the screen. Okay, so we can see, except for the one button you have to have is right here is the launch button. So you choose a launch site, and it can be anywhere on the planet. So this particular launch site is our home site here in Pueblo, Colorado. But if you zoom out, you can pick any launch site in the world. If I zoom out far enough, I should be seeing other launch sites. Where did my other launch sites go? But here, you know, you can pick a launch site, click OK, and that launch site is in Washington, near Walla Walla. And it's loading the map near Dayton, Washington. This is out in the middle of nowhere. It's still loading the map, and it's like a nice big old field right there. So that's where we're going to launch this rocket from. This is our starting state, and so if you look at it, if you look on the ground, we have north, south, east, and west. Our wind is coming out of the west. That's what this arrow indicates. So if I wanted to aim into the wind, I'd switch my rocket to aim towards the west and arc it into the wind. But I think I want to arc the opposite direction of the wind. So I'd arc it and then switch around the launch pad to going the other direction. So this way the rocket should arc into the wind as it weathercocks. Let's go with the wind. And we have a steady wind. I just want to see what it is. Let's make it 5 miles an hour. Coming out of the west, I click OK. So here we're going to load the motors, choose an engine. I think we have the C12. So here's the C12, and I think we had a C12-8, and we had an overhang of 0.5. Click OK. And the booster stage, we had an E15-4. Click OK. Oops, we need to change the overhang on this as well. 0.5. Oops. 0.5. Click OK. And then flight events. Okay, so this one is, we can tell it when the staging is going to occur. So we have a little bit more ability here. We can do maximum ejection delay, which is 4 seconds after liftoff, because we had an E15-4. We can do a time after ignition. I might try that, and I might set it. Let me set everything else first. So the booster parachute. Let's go with max ejection delay, because that's 4 seconds after engine burnout. Sustainer was also max ejection delay. So this one right here, when do we want it to stage? So let me go back to my motor, and I want to go back to that E15, and I want to look at it, E15, so I'm going to do a search for the E15. And what I'm looking for is the burn time. So the burn time is 2.4 seconds. So I don't want it to stage before that, I want it to stage after it. So let's stage at 3 seconds. So I'm going to cancel there. Go back to flight events, and I'm going to do time after ignition, and now I know the time should be 3 seconds. So I got to specify the time here, 3 seconds, hit tab, and let's launch it. Cross our fingers, hope it launches here as well. It's running it in the cloud on our server somewhere. Terry Wheelock says, can we launch from the White House lawn? In the launch visualizer? Yes, you can. We can try that. Give the old president something to look at. Okay, so here's our rocket sitting on the pad, and if we zoom out a little bit, we'll see that field that we were at before. I remember seeing that building right there. The rocket is right in the middle of the screen. What the heck is going on? So here it is sitting on the launch pad, and if we launch it, we can see the smoke. Rocket's going up. It's staged. the blue smoke is the tracking smoke, the white smoke is the thrust smoke, so that's how come I can tell what's going on. Then it deployed its streamer, or is that a parachute? It's a parachute. And now it's coming down, and it's really tiny dot. So if you want to see it, you have to scroll in. There it is. And I can give it, I can see the trajectory path and the extruded ground path by turning that on, and now we can get a little better view of what's going on, where this rocket went. Alright, so you can see it is kind of drifting to the east, kind of towards that building, but I think it's going to miss. If you want to speed things up, you can grab it here and speed it up. And it just missed the building. Alright, so if we want to go from the White House lawn, go back here to launch, and let's go Washington. Let's see if this search is going to work. No. Alright, so we'll have to find it the old manual way. We'll have to look on a map. So here's the United States. Here is Washington. Let's zoom in. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. So now we got to find the White House. Okay, I think that's Washington. Okay, here's the National Mall. I think the White House is right here. I think that's where, yep, President's Park, the White House. Oh, look, he's got a nice little park for us to launch from. Looks, he's got his own tennis court. Okay, we're going to launch right in the middle of the tennis court. Confirm the launch site. Let's launch that one again. So now we've just reset the coordinates, and we click launch, and oops, click launch and simulate. And let's see what that one looks like launching from the back of the White House. You can do this in real life, but you can here in the launch visualizer. And there's his tennis court. And I don't know what that is. Is that like a fountain? It's hard to tell. So if he's looking out his back window towards the tennis courts, and we hit launch, and there goes the rocket! Taking off. And where's it going to land? I don't know Washington, D.C. that well, so it's somewhere over here on somebody's roof. Yeah, if you launched a rocket in Washington, I would bet you would get a call from the Secret Service. I'm not doing it! I have no desire to launch a rocket in Washington, D.C. It's Terry Wheelock. Let's see if there's any other questions, because we're at 3 o'clock. When you were talking about the junior level 1 cert, I believe you said that an L1 junior would automatically turn into a real level 1 when you turn 18. Is that true? I believe that is true, because you have already gone through the launch and you have already done a test of your knowledge. The purpose of the certification test is for safety. And once you are proven to be safe, or you know what you should do to be safe, it's knowledge that you will retain, hopefully, for the rest of your life. So you don't need to certify every year. So if you let your certification lapse, say you're 18 years old and you go off to college and you don't launch a rocket for 4 years, and you come back home from college and now you want to launch a high power rocket again. Well, you're no longer certified. And why aren't you certified? Well, because you didn't pay your NAR dues. A lot of kids, when they go off to college, they forget about paying their NAR dues, you know, your annual dues. But here's the good thing is once you start paying those dues again, your certification will start up automatically again. You will still be certified. And if you are not, just contact the NAR headquarters and they will search the records to make sure that you've been certified already, and then they'll issue you a new card, your membership card, and on your membership card it will say, you know, what level you're certified at. So you can let it lapse and come back without having to retake a test. And this happens all the time, where people drop out of rocketry for a number of years, and then they come back and they think they have to go through the certification process again. But you don't. You just have to pay your dues. Money. Because the NAR, they are, and AAA is, I believe, is the same way. They're trusting organizations. This is about safety. It's not about, you know, some kind of hierarchy. You know, once you're certified, you're certified. It's like learning how to ride a bike. Once you know how to do it, you can do it the rest of your life. So that's is my understanding is how it works. Micah says, I see that you have a poster for the new rocket glider. Is it out yet? Our new rocket glider. We are still in the process of working on it. I wanted to kind of pre-advertise it because it's imminent. It is definitely coming. We are right now, we are in the middle of writing the instructions. So the design is done. It's ready to go into production as soon as the instructions are done. So, and this is a level 5 kit, and Martin tells me there's over 100 steps, assembly steps. This thing has 6 pivot points on it. So there's 6 points on the rocket. You have to put in little screws so that things can pivot. There's 2 at the front. There's 1 on each wing. And then there's 2 back here on these struts, because this strut will slide forward and that collapses the wing. And so there's all 6 of them have to pivot for the wing to deploy. And plus there's all kinds of other little parts in here. There's geared parts. There's parts inside the wing. On the back, which you can't see, are little tubes, because on the booster stage there's 2 little pins that come up that connect into those tubes that hold the wings closed until the booster falls off, and then the wings can pop open. So there's lots of cool stuff in there, and we're advertising it now because we want to start generating some buzz about that. Tom says, Zephyr question if you have time. Pros and cons of tape versus retainer ring for the motor. Pros and cons. So tape, cheap. Con, it's messy taking it off because the tape heats up and it leaves residue. It does work. Some people don't like seeing it. The pros of the metal screw-on retainer is they're easy to slide in and out. They're quick. Taking them apart is a lot easier because you're not peeling the tape off, and yeah. And the con of the metal ring is it's heavier and it costs more. I build so many rockets that for me, all those metal retainers, once they're glued on, you know, there's two parts of that retainer. Once it's the one part is glued on, it's on there permanently. So you can't kind of reuse it. If they're hard to reuse, unless the rocket is completely destroyed, and then you can start trying to scrape the epoxy out of it so you can reuse it. But that's really hard. I've done it, but it's really hard. Johan said we were talking about putting a paper on the inside of a tube, and he says use a balloon to press the inside of the tube. That does work. You have to have a long skinny balloon, and it has to be, when you inflate it, it has to inflate fully without popping. I've done it. I've not done it on paper tubes, but I've done it on making carbon fiber a composite tube. I've done it that way, and it does work, but it's tricky. Because sometimes the glue will stick to the balloon, and when the balloon collapses, it pulls your paper or whatever it is away. But you can do it. There's always that Friday afternoon. Oh man, that's a dangerous in traffic. Robert says he's going to try the TTV file again. Hopefully it will work, Robert. I wish you well on that. Micah Peterson says, I already asked this, but I saw that you have a poster for the Draco. Oh, yeah, he asked the same question twice. And yes, it's coming, but it's not here quite yet. Terry Wheelock says, yeah, it's not the first time that they showed up to talk to me. Somebody from the Apogee Components, somebody is watching here, and this is really cool because they actually quote the NAR website that says, NAR high power certification once earned are valid whenever NAR membership is current and are reinstated upon request after a membership lapses. Micah Peterson says, the poster looks so cool, I will probably buy it when it comes out. Yes, you're going to buy it. You better! It's a great rocket. We're going to sell a ton of them. Terry Wheelock says, is that a copy of a U.S. rocket? This is patterned after a real missile called the Ground Launch Small Diameter Bomb, which was actually made, I'm thinking, Sweden, Norway, or Switzerland, one of those countries. They originally created it, and then Boeing saw it and helped them develop it further. So that's how Boeing got involved. And then Boeing took it to the military, and the military loved it because it's a winged bomb. You know, you've heard of the British Storm Shadow and the JDAM, which are bombs that are dropped from airplanes. Well, this one is ground launched. So it's like HIMARS, and it can go into the same tubes as the HIMAR rocket or the ATACMS, and it can go out, and instead of taking a ballistic trajectory, and if a rocket takes a ballistic trajectory, they're easier to shoot down. But because it got wings on it, it can do evasive maneuvers, and Ukraine is going to be getting those sometime soon. Or at least the government said they're going to give them to them, but they haven't gotten them yet. But this, so it's patterned after that, but it's not a scale rocket because we made the wings huge because we're flying model rockets and we want it to fly slow, we need bigger wings. So our wings are a lot bigger. But they flip out the same way, and it is launched by a booster section, so from this point down is the booster that falls off the rocket, and then the glider. You can see the, well, this was the booster right down here. This is the whole glider transitions to a glide, and it glides. And I launched it Saturday to take video for our website. We're starting to build the website already, and it flew so cool. And for some strange reason, it wasn't trimmed right, so it didn't do a continuous circle. What it did was it circled one way, and then it turned, and it came back the other way. So it was kind of meandering around in no really set direction, and that just looked so cool. And I don't expect all of them to fly that way. I don't even know how to get it to fly that way. It just happened. It was just so cool. Anyway, Sweater Dog says, it also reminds me of a butterfly knife, which is cool. And yeah, so we had a naming contest for the Draco, and this was submitted by somebody. I don't know who it was. They submitted their suggestion, I think, via Twitter or something like that. And so they're going to get a free kit once it's available. That was the one that our staff here at Apogee liked the best. And he submitted the word Draco, but we added BG afterwards, because there's a lot of things in the world named Draco. Like SpaceX, they call their one of their spaceships the Draco. And we didn't want to get in trouble, so we added BG on the end. So it is a boost glider, and it is. Our Kaplan 100 says, I have a design that shows unsafe when I fly it. What should I look to for correction? I want to get to that question. That's a really good question, but we are out of time. So, our Kaplan 100, if you go to the Apogee website and you send us an email, there's a contact form, and you can't attach your file to the contact form, but say, I have a RockSim file for Tim to look at in the next RockSim Live, and what will happen is we'll email you back, and then you can respond to that email with the attachment. Because we don't want to put our email address out there in the world, because then the spam bots find it and we get gobs and gobs of spam, and so that's why we hide our email. But we will respond with an email, and you can respond back to it, and I will take that up for next week. Okay. Sweater Dog says, Super Draco thruster is the launch abort and in space navigation thrusters on the SpaceX Dragon crew capsule. See, I knew it had to do with SpaceX. So thank you, Sweater Dog. Okay. Anyway, so we have to end the stream here because we are way over time, as usual. But we will be back, and I will try to answer that question, R. Kaplan 100, about you got an unstable design and how to make it stable. And so we'll take a look at that in RockSim next week. I don't know what date that will be. We will be in August already, right? So that will be August 4th. That's next Friday, same time, 2 p.m. Mountain Time Zone, 4 p.m. on the East Coast. And was it like 10 p.m. in the Netherlands where Johan is? Yeah. So until next time, in 5, 4, 3.